Joining us today is someone who needs no introduction. She's a bodybuilder, a former wrestler, an actress, and she's even made numerous appearances on The Howard Stern Show. But today, you can add guest on AWP to that already impressive resume. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Nicole Bass.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Now, Nicole,
I also do private wrestling, beat the crap out of people, but I don't do competitive. I do fetish. I do appearances, signings, bodyguard. I don't know. The list just keeps getting... Oh, and I take my top off and dance at strip clubs.
There you go.
So I do. I hit the adult market as well as do motivational speaking for kids. My whole thing is, I guess, with the resume that we just stated, I'm a legend in bodybuilding, and somehow I had a legend, and I'm not going to go to who said it, but the person who said it to me was an old-timer. He's like, "You're a legend in wrestling." I was like, "I am not." He goes, "Walk down the street. Watch how many people." I said, "I don't want to walk down the street and have everybody notice me." He says, "Where do they know you from?" And I was like, "Wrestling." And he was like, "See, you're a legend." I thought, like, legends are dead people, but I'm still alive. Although on Google, it says that I died in 2013. So maybe I'm not really me. I'm somebody else now. But my whole campaign to come back into the spotlight and talk with everybody is that I plan on doing something, and I'm not sure what. Maybe you guys can help me with the opportunities that you have on Facebook and Periscope and YouTube. I would like to do something called Nicole Bass Journey and talk about who I am and what I'm doing and my quirky sense of humor, and have it be serious and yet not. So I don't know what the direction and how to go about that. So I kind of started on Facebook just stating I'm going for a walk now and taking a picture. And, I did 1.5 miles. I can't walk because my knees are shot. I mean, I can't run because my knees are shot. So I walk and I bounce around with my headphones and try to stand up tall and straight, and then I crawl out of the park. But anyhow, I'll shut up. I talk a lot.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Now, you're well known for both bodybuilding and you mentioned too professional wrestling. As a kid growing up, did either of these things ever, strike in your head that, hey, I definitely want to be a bodybuilder, or I definitely want to get into the wrestling business? And, growing up, is that something you always wanted to do?
A lot of memories back. I never thought about my childhood for a long time. When I was born, I was a forceps baby, so I have trouble with my vision. It always looks like one eye is way smaller than the other, or it looks like, what the heck is she looking at? I don't have any depth perception. I never played sports. I was always the odd girl out. I just remember I don't know if I'm allowed to mention names, but I went to, in the third grade, I lived in Great Neck, so whatever school you go to in the third grade. And there was this one kid, Mindy Reingold. The day I went to class, she was like, "What's your name?" And I was raised to be very polite. And I was like, "Oh, my name is Nicole Bass." And she's like, "No, it's not. What's wrong with your eye?" And I was like, and at that point, I was not trying to be funny. I didn't want to explain the whole story of forceps, baby. So I just told her it's broken. She goes, "No, it's not. You got rocks in your head. You're Rockhead." From there on out, I was Rockhead. I was always teased because of my height. They called me Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and like Howard Stern says, Herman the Munster. I always got teased and bullied. So the whole thing that I stand for in my life is to not be bullied. So growing up, didn't play sports, couldn't. If you throw something at me, I duck. How I wrestle, I don't know. It's instinct. I just am good at what I do. Unfortunately, the WWF didn't use me to my potential. And when I was with the ECW, they made me wrestle. I went to school The way that I got into wrestling was Jason Knight invited me to come. He saw me in the gym after I'd gotten done competing in the Ms. Olympia, and he was like, wow, you want to come to a wrestling match? And I was like, I just thought he was hitting on me because he was just staring at my body, and most people would just stare at my boobies. And I was like, yeah, sure, me and my husband would love to go. And he was excited. And I thought 6 people were going to be there. And it turned out it was at the Elks Lodge in Queens. Not the way the Elks Lodge is now, but the old Elks Lodge, you could jam 2,000 people in there. And they're hanging off the railing, screaming like maniacs. And I went out. I was taught to powerbomb. Well, I think it was Juan Marquez in the locker room. And the wrestlers didn't really welcome me with open arms. They kept saying I was green. But because I always got beat up in school when I was younger, I was not a fighter. I really wasn't. My dad was a black belt, really serious black belt. I forgot what degree. And I would get beat up from my dad for getting beat up in school because he was like, hit them back. You know, you kid. I was a big sissy back then. Now you hit me, I'm going to hit you back. Anyhow, they taught me how to powerbomb Juan Marquez. And I come out of the ring, and everybody's like, Howard Stern, Nicole Bass, yay! And I'm going back to him, yay! And I'm smiling, and I'm laughing. And I come out of the ring, and Tommy Dreamer looks at me, and he goes, why couldn't you be a wrestling fan? And I was like, what? What did I do wrong? He goes, you're a heel, not a face. And I was like, what's a heel? And he just shook his head, looked down at the floor, and walked sadly away. I asked somebody, what's a heel? And they go, you're a villain. You're not supposed to get the people to clap for you. They're supposed to, hate you.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I do that? And they go, I don't know. Figure it out. I went back the next night because I felt like I didn't do my job that night. And I made that crowd hate me. They hated me bad. And when I was with ECW and we traveled, I would terrorize the audience, and I got to be really good at it. I'm not so good at it right now. You have to be in the right head for it.
Sure.
That's how I got into wrestling.
Speaking of ECW, you recently attended Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore. Was it nice to see him and catch up?
I love Tommy. I love Tommy with all my heart and soul. Tommy was always very, very good to me in ECW. I didn't post it yet. A couple weeks back, I ran into, what's his name? He's in the WWF now with the long hair. I can't think. Rob Van Dam.
Oh, yeah.
I'm when it comes to names. People always ask me, do you know so-and-so? And I'm like, I think I do, but I just know everybody. I saw Badass Billy Gunn. I saw Rhino. I saw a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a long time.
Sure.
You know, very, very nice. A lot of good memories. I saw Guido, and in fact, when I saw Rob Van Dam, we were reminiscing, and he goes, "Remember the time?" Because it was this is like one of those Nicole moments. He says to me, "Remember the time when you ate?" And I didn't remember this when I was at House of Hardcore show. Mm-hmm. And that show was awesome. And I was standing, staring at Badass Billy Gunn, like my jaw was dropped, my shoulders were drooped, and my belly wasn't like, you know, how you stand tall and proud. I'm just standing there. And somebody on Twitter had posted the photo, and it says, love at first sight or something. I'm staring at Badass Billy Gunn. And that man is in the most incredible, from the bodybuilding standpoint, that man was in the most incredible shape that I have ever seen. He is really a badass, for real in real life. Nobody looked like that. And I was just thoroughly impressed. Tommy Dreamer is a doll, and his wife, Beulah was amazing. It was just amazing. It brought back great memories. Rob reminded me, remember the time when you ate Guido's sandwich? And I'm like, no, I don't remember that. He's like, there was a sandwich on the table, and Guido wanted to beat the crap out of you. And I said, no, I don't remember that. And then all of a sudden I did. And I was like, oh, shit, I ate Guido's sandwich. That kid he's little Guido, you know? Yeah. And he wanted for real. He was like, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to get her and I'm going to punch her. He was so mad. It was funny. And then I remembered it. I guess it's not funny now. But
no, it's funny. Well, I got a question because I was speaking about wrestling. You mentioned bodybuilding from Badass Billy Gunn. But if we go back a little bit in a time machine, when did you decide that you wanted to get into bodybuilding? And when did you say, hey, this is for me?
I never decided. I never decided that I saw women's bodybuilding and I was like, ew, gross. I do not. Why do women want to have muscles?
Yeah.
It just was. When I had a fat. I had fat moment, which I wish I would. I have pictures from when I went on the Howard Stern show. I think I was about 280, and you could tell how poisoned my skin was. And even now, like, I saw pictures, and I've had my butt back in the gym for the past couple of days. So I'm not back yet, but I am back to the Nicole that I truly am, and I'll explain that if you want. The way that I decided was it was decided for me, and the reason it's destiny. I lived in Florida, and when I had come to New York, my dad was like, okay, we're going from Florida to New York. And I was like, yeah, right. Because I was a teenager. I think I was about 16, 17 years old. And my dad's best friend was my future husband. And my dad always told my husband, I have a daughter. She's 6'2", wide shoulders, tiny waist. She's going to make an incredible bodybuilder. She's the female Schwarzenegger. And my dad was just after a free gym membership because my husband had the gym. So after a while, Bob, so I can stop saying my husband's name was Bob. He passed 3 years ago. Do not say I'm sorry. I'm healed. I'm fine. Life goes on, and he's part of me, and people get to meet a part of Bob by me being alive and doing what I do. Anyhow, when Bob got kind of wise to how my dad was, he was like, yeah, right, you have a daughter, 6'2", with wide shoulders and a tiny waist. I believe you. But my dad told him I had these big giant kazumis, too. And so when I finally did meet Bob, I walked into the gym and I said, hi, my name is Nicole, and I'm in those Jane Fonda shiny tights with string up my ass. Oh, are you allowed to curse on your show?
Of course, yeah, anything you want.
Okay, I can. Okay, so I got the string up my ass and those jazz shoes. That was style in the '80s, and I had long hair down to my waist that I had just cut off because Bridget Nielsen cut off her hair, and I wanted my hair to look like Bridget Nielsen. I walk into the gym. That man had a 20-minute conversation. The gym is back in the day, the gyms were not co-ed, especially bodybuilding gyms. Women trained on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the men, the gym, the other days of the week. So when Bob had come up with the idea, why do I have to have different days of the week? I don't want to deal with just men on one day and women on another day. It doesn't make sense business-wise. Everybody told him he was nuts, and he opened one of, the few co-ed gyms. So when I trained there, the guys at the time were very territorial. They took the benches and was trying to get in shape. I got fat when I came to New York. New York is open 24 hours a day. You can get anything. You can eat anything. Any type of food. You just gain weight. And I was getting hefty. So I went to the gym. And when I went to the gym, my husband had the 20-minute conversation with my chest. picked his chin up, made him look me in the eyes, said, my face is up here. He trained me so hard, I was really dead set on not having any muscles. I was like, I don't care. Where's the bike? But anyhow, he taught me that, you have to firm up. You have to make the muscle work.
Mm-hmm.
So it made sense to me, and I started to get into it. But the guys were not having it. The guys were like, why does she have a conversation when I'm standing there of, why does she need the bench?
Yeah.
I was like, excuse me, you're talking. Can I go do my set? And they were like, they terrorized and teased me so much that I don't know where it came from. I said to them, I'm going to Miss Olympia one day. They fell on the floor and laughed at me. They fell on the floor and made me feel so little and small and stupid that I became set on getting muscles. And when I did start to gain muscle, I started to gain people's respect. And the rest is history. When I went to compete, my husband was like, don't sign in. And I was like, but why? I have to register with the NPC. Don't sign in. I was like, why? And he goes, because I want to see everybody's face. I wish I still had the tape. I had a tape, and I threw out all my VHS.
Mm-hmm.
But I waited to sign in at the weigh-in, and everybody went like, holy shit, where did he come from?
Yeah.
And when he had said to me, now you're going to have now a heavyweight woman is 135 and above. I think I weighed in at like 198. Bodybuilding would not have me. They didn't want me.
Mm-hmm.
No, they wanted me to go away because by myself I looked normal, but then you stick me next to your average, and not to say I'm above average. I'm not on an ego trip at all, but I'm twice the size of everybody. I'm 6'2". I am a big motherfucker. I am just big.
Yep.
Okay, so in bodybuilding, there are 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", 5'9". Are really tall women, but nobody is 6'2". Nobody. So I weighed in, I think, at 198 at the time. They were like, you have to for the first bodybuilding competition, it says, wait, just count to 3 and then come out. So the audience is clapping, and then I go 1,000, 2 1,000. I'm the last competitor to come out for the heavyweight class. 3 1,000, and then I come out. The whole audience stopped clapping, and they go, whoa. And I like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Because all of a sudden, spotlight is on me, and I didn't understand at the time how much of an impact I had on bodybuilding. If it wasn't for me, fitness, and I shouldn't say if it wasn't for me, I take that back. If it wasn't for girls like me that went against the grain, Diana Dennis, Honey Von Aken, Bev Francis, who was my coach for a long time, they were all in the movie Pumping Iron too, I would not be here. Mm-hmm. Fitness would not exist. There was no muscle in the 80s. Nobody had muscles. Mm-hmm. It was like, that was freakish. If they think it's freakish now, imagine how they thought in 1980.
Sure.
And they wanted me to go away. I call them the powers that be.
Yeah.
I was very good friends with a man by the name of Wayne D'Amelia, who ran the Night of Champions. And I asked him since I was 19 years old, if I win the Nationals, I can be in the Miss Olympia. I had gone over everybody's head. I'm not very good friends, like I call him up on the phone, but I know Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he knows me. And he calls me the female Schwarzenegger. My dad came up with it, and then bodybuilding came up with it, but I heard it from the man's mouth himself. When we're in the gym, it's like, it's kismet. It's not like, oh my God, Arnold Schwarzenegger, bow to the ground. I'm like, whoa, that dude he's been in it. He's been through it. Yeah. I have respect for him. I have respect for a lot of people that are in the bodybuilding gym.
Mm.
You know, it's just like we kind of know each other because we know what it takes to sweat and bleed and not feel like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym. We're still there. So I know everybody.
Now, we heard that you even met Arnold Schwarzenegger. What was his thoughts on you?
His thoughts when he saw me,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to compete in one of the shows. It's called the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic.
Mm-hmm.
It's an awesome show. It runs in Columbus, Ohio. I'm not sure what month. I'm really not at this point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I think it runs in March. He runs the show with Jim Lorimer, and it's a fitness expo as well as a bodybuilding competition. I think it goes on for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And the vendors that are there is amazing. I mean, that place is gigunda.
Mm-hmm.
And Arnold back in the day would go around and say it was really funny because I forgot what booth I was working. I was working the booth, and he's surrounded by security. He has to be,
Sure.
you know, because everybody. It happens to me, and I'm just a little bit famous compared to him. I get people that walk up to me and punch me for no reason. And I just stand there like, really? You were going to punch me? And it's always like a little person, you know. Why are you punching me? You know?
Yeah.
And I want to wail on him, but you can't, you know. Then I'll end up killing somebody. And then I have to go to jail, you know, and that's not fun.
No.
So anyhow, Arnold, I met him back in the day. I must have been in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to compete in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, and I was turned down because bodybuilding wanted me to go away. I stayed with bodybuilding no matter what, and that's what makes me who I am. I flash my boobies on Twitter. I've been thrown off Facebook for it. I just think that you can't be bullied in this society, and if we as adults are bullied, then you know what? We have no right to say to our children, don't be bullied. Not unless you can represent anti-bullying. I am just a very powerful woman, and I stand for what I say. I don't shy away. So anyhow, I wanted to compete in the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, and I was turned down.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't compete in it. All of a sudden, everybody had to qualify. So you had to, at the time, you had to be invited. And the IFBB, which is the International Federation of Bodybuilding, I forgot what it stands for. It's the IFBB.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, International Federation of Bodybuilding. Why it has 2 B's? Isn't bodybuilding one word? So anyhow, Arnold I never met him. I walk into World Gym when it was the original World Gym, and it was built just straight like those train apartments.
Mm-hmm.
It was long. And then it had like an back outdoor patio. And nobody trains at Muscle Beach in Venice, so don't believe that one. But anyhow, I walked into the World Gym, and Arnold's there. And I was like, oh, wow, Arnold's here. That's cool. And he saw me. We made eye contact. And one thing in bodybuilding you do not do is you do not stop for nothing. I don't care if there's the president walked in. You don't stop. The man stopped doing calves, came over to me, and he did it. I can't do Arnold's imitations. I suck at it. But he's like, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm Nicole Bass. They call me the female Schwarzenegger. And he goes, you're not the female Schwarzenegger. You are Schwarzenegger. And I was like, whoa. And I said, I really wanted to compete in your show, but they won't let me. And he goes, you're invited.
Wow.
No. So, you know, I'm not going to say which FBB official wouldn't let me, but
sure,
so-and-so won't let me do it. He goes, it's my show. You're going in. And I was like, whoa. Another funny story is I know a lot of people, but I don't go around saying who I know.
Mm-hmm.
So but I'm just bringing up Arnold because it was an incident on the Howard Stern show.
Sure.
At the time, I had my gym in Manhattan. I don't have the gym anymore. But Ralph, I forget his last name, Ralph Cirilla, which is Howard's, I don't know what he does, but he does something. He does, you know, he's like in Howard's entourage. So Ralph Cirilla was training in my gym, and Gary Delabate, the producer from the Howard Stern show, he calls me up on a Friday and says, "We want to have you on Monday, but you can't tell anybody." So I was like, "I will," and I'm the type, I don't tell anybody. I don't give out phone numbers. I don't give away any information. So I said, "I won't tell anybody." And he says to me, "Do you know Arnold Schwarzenegger?" I said, "Yes, I know Arnold Schwarzenegger." He says, "Great. We're going to have you on Monday with Arnold, and don't tell anybody." So I didn't tell anybody. He didn't know that I knew him. So I go in to the show, and they put me in one room, Arnold in the other room. Arnold's in the middle of doing, his Arnold stuff with Howard. And then they bring me in. And Arnold and I make eye contact, and he goes, "Nicole!" And I go, "Arnold!" And Howard's jaw just dropped. And I was, we're talking, and we're ignoring Howard. And Howard's like, "You know Arnold?" I said, "Yeah, I said to Gary, I know Arnold." "No, you know Arnold." I said, "Yes, I know Arnold." And then everybody just threw their hands up in the air like, "Oh, Nicole ruined a whole week of a bit." Like there are funny little one-liners on how, I don't know, because whenever I go on Stern, they always tease me and say, I look like Herman the Monster, I look like a man, but I'm not, but I really am the largest woman bodybuilder. They create the controversy, which is great. I love it. Right now, when I walk around the neighborhood where I live, nobody's walking into a parking meter or building, so I know I'm out of shape. They're all like, "Oh, you look great." I do? That means I look like crap.
Now,
Gotta set the bar high.
Sure. Now, Nicole, fast forward a little bit too. We talked a little bit about ECW before.
Sure.
After working with ECW, you got a call too to come into the WWE.
When I went
right?
I just wait. I'm just
Sure.
going to interrupt, but I can bring up one thing which I know that you guys are going to throw at me. It's just everybody's been throwing it at me.
Okay.
When I worked for ECW, I didn't know what to wear.
Mm-hmm.
Do that, and I do fetish. Everybody knows I do fetish. I do foot worship and muscle worship, and I will wrestle you, but not competitively. If you try to hurt me, I'm going to street fight you, or I'm going to end the session, and there's always security with me so that I'm protected. But I had a leather dominatrix outfit thing going when I was at ECW. I had looked through the wrestling magazines and just, "Hey, what do you wear to this thing?" I never realized how big pro wrestling was because I wasn't a fan. I didn't know. So I wore leather shorts and I think a leather bra, and that ended up being the way that I came up with it. Was the only person that I could emulate was Chyna. So she was at the time wearing a non-sexy outfit. It was like grandma spandex.
Sure.
Her original outfit there was no sex to it. Mm-hmm. And I think that, as a woman, you can't dress in a burlap sack. You really can't. It doesn't work. Even if you put on lipstick, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I ended up wearing one of my fetish outfits to the first ECW show, and that became my getup. She ended up copying me. I was already the ninth wonder of the world in bodybuilding because I am the largest woman bodybuilder in the world, and I am in the Guinness Book of World Records. Nobody has broken, and this is as far as competing in the IFBB. I was heavier. I think it was 207 that 208 that I'm listed in the Guinness Book of World. I didn't even want to sign the paper. I was like, I don't care if I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records. I don't need them to validate me. I know who I am. I know what I did. But they ended up putting me in. I didn't sign any papers. I didn't do anything. So I'm in there.
Nice.
She then became then she announced that she was the ninth wonder of the world. I don't care. I really don't. It's not that I don't care. I don't need to be validated.
Yeah.
And the way that I learned that was through my bodybuilding. I wanted my pro card and I kept taking second at the Nationals, second. And one of the writers for Flex Magazine came up to me and goes, "Aren't you pissed that you're not winning?" And I said, "No." And he was like, "But why?" And I said, "Because every time they give me second, it just gains me more power."
Mm-hmm.
And he scratched his head and he went away. And then the next year I won.
Nice.
And then I was like, okay, fuck this shit, I won. Next, the politics of bodybuilding were just too severe. And now women's bodybuilding, it's not as powerful. People lean more towards fitness.
Sure.
It just became too, everything was bigger. Well, and you lost the aesthetics.
Sure,
but back to ECW. Wait, I just want to finish this.
Sure.
And I know I'm all over the place and I talk a lot. So if I'm talking too much, just tell me to zip it.
You're good. It's
okay. With Chyna, when I did find, it was Big Dick Dudley that looked at me. What Big Dick his real name was Alex Rizzo, and he passed, which was a heartbreak for me. But Big Dick hated me from the day I walked into ECW. Hated me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have no idea. He looked at me and got undressed, wanted to take my chair and turn it around. What, I'm going to sit there staring at his naked ass? No. Turn my chair around. We ended up being best friends. I was very, very close to Alex Rizzo. He looked at me one day and he goes, "You're coming with me." I said, "Where?" And he goes, "We're going to go to a wrestling show." I said, "We're at a wrestling show." He says, "We're going to go to a better show." He brought me to WCW, and I saw Goldberg, and Goldberg was like, "Holy shit, you're huge!" And I said hi to everybody in the locker room, said hi to everybody there. "You signed," because there was rumor going around that I signed.
Mm-hmm.
That I signed with WCW and that I signed with WWF. So he took me from WCW and then brought me to a WWF show. And Sable went berserk. She went and grabbed, she's like, "You signed." I said, "No, I'm just visiting." "No, you have to sign." So WWF called me, and I didn't know that they were calling me. I kept getting a message from Bruce Pritchard. I mean, who the fuck is Bruce Pritchard? I don't know. Finally, I called back the number because it was constant, and I signed with them. And I don't even want to get into my reign in there. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
But Chyna and I would have been friends had it not been set up that it was a war. Everybody wanted me and Chyna to fight. Now, I am 6'2" in real life. In real life, I can get on a scale. I weigh between 210 and 230, depending on the season. My normal weight is around 220. I'm not going to say who I was taller than. I don't want to go there because they announce wrestlers as being something that they're not. I ended up being 6'4" because someone else was not. They were not. You know what I'm getting at.
Sure,
so anyhow, Chyna was about 5'6" or 5'7", and she wore I call them Frankenstein boots, but those platform boots. You know which ones I'm talking? They're hard to walk in. I don't know how the fuck she walked in them. I give her credit. But we were at war because everybody kept trying to make it be a war. She was an amazing, extraordinary woman, but we did not get along. As far as I'm concerned, she was a cunt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to use that word. I used it for how I felt in my relationship with her. My relationship with her, she didn't like me, and I didn't like her. It doesn't mean that I didn't respect her. I have an amazing amount of respect for the woman. She put up with a lot of shit, and it was because of her that I probably got into ECW, and it's probably because of her that it ended up that I was at WWF, but she did not want to stand next to me. And I think I was in the ring with her once. I was supposed to take a forearm shot from her. I made like a lot of times when I take pictures with some of the wrestlers, I don't stand there and try to make myself look bigger. Stupid. That would be absolutely retarded of me. I try to bring myself in tighter, closer, so that it looks like I'm their size. I have a picture floating around of me and Dreamer. I'm way taller than Dreamer, way taller. But he's my dreamboat. I love him. He is great. I would never try to out-muscle him. It's stupid. I don't have that big of an ego. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't walk around with my lats flexed. You ever see, like, the bodybuilders that walk around, they're all flexed out, and it's like, dude, relax.
Yeah.
Chill. It's so retarded,
You debuted for the WWE at WrestleMania 15, and you helped Sable defeat Tori.
Yeah, she dead-weighted me, too. You could tell in that picture that they have floating around in one of the books.
Uh-huh.
I kept saying she dead-weighted me.
Yeah.
She's not even posting off of my shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And proof of it is that picture. I had a hurt shoulder for a while.
As someone who really wasn't a fan of wrestling, did you still see how important debuting at WrestleMania was?
No, I hadn't a clue. I always go in front of people. I've been in front of people all my life. Just weird things. Howard Stern and all screaming fans that are on. We were on stage at some concert. It doesn't. It didn't impress me at the time. It impresses me now. I do a lot of things in hindsight. I didn't know how important it was. In fact, Road Dogg was teasing me. I didn't know who Road Dogg was, but he's like, "Oh wow, you're Nicole Bass." He's so nice, Road Dogg. And I was like, "Yeah, hi, pleased to meet you." And I was supposed to stay away from the cameras. That was the rule. Do not be seen by anything backstage anywhere. Hide. So there was a camera floating around, and Road Dogg, pulls up, goes into Road Dogg mode, and I'm ducking. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm hiding from the cameras." And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because I can't be on camera." So there was like one of those big giant boxes that they put all the cables in. Uh-huh. He goes, "Here, get in here. You'll be seen for the rest of the night." And I'm laughing, and he's laughing, and I just keep trying to duck the cameras. But in hindsight, I realized how important it was. Yes.
Sure.
Now, amazing.
Definitely. Now, also, too, during your time in WWE, the Attitude Era was going strong, pushing the envelope weekly, trying to beat WCW in ratings. Were you ever approached with any ideas that you felt maybe were pushing the envelope too far?
No. I had Shawn Mike. One of the things that I regret most is that I followed direction too well. Mm-hmm. I was supposed to be a tough chick that walked out. I didn't want it to go the Howard Stern way. That's Howard Stern's script. Howard has his own comedy routine, and it is exclusive to the Howard Stern show. I will not put up with it in any other venue. I don't want to be treated like that because I know where his head is, and I know where his heart is. Mm-hmm. Howard is a huge, huge fan of mine, and he only wants the best for me. And that's on the Howard Stern show. They're not going to go, "Yay, Nicole Bass is here. She's the most wonderful, sweetest girl in the whole world. Isn't she sexy?" No, that is not Howard Stern. Howard Stern is going to push the envelope every time I go on that show. And if I can't handle it mentally, then I don't go on anymore. Sure. I can handle Howard. I can laugh at myself. I can take a joke. I get pranked all the time. That's why I said don't give out my phone number.
Of course, yeah.
I get pranked all the time on the phone. I put up with it. Just don't call me after 11 o'clock at night, or I will rip and tear and go after you like a rabid dog.
Yep.
No, for real. My home phone number. I had the same home phone number for 30 years, and the fans respect me. Don't call me after 10. Yeah. 11 is pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
WWF, whatever the fuck they are, they tried to push the envelope, and it wasn't they so much. It was Shawn Michaels, and I should have ran with the opportunity, and I kick myself to this day. He came up behind me with a microphone and started to pretend that he was doing me from behind. And I didn't try. And the way that I took it at the time was Howard Stern humor.
Yeah.
because he had made some comment, oh, yeah, the guys, or something directed towards me, and I flipped. I went straight to Vinny Russo, and I was like, this is not going the way of the Howard Stern show, or I'm walking the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so furious that I couldn't find hide nor hair of Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is amazing. He is great on the mic. He knows what to do. He knows how to work out. And I did not know enough of the history of wrestling to grasp the opportunity and the rope that Shawn Michaels had thrown at me.
We follow you on Twitter. You also mentioned recently, a few weeks ago or so, that there was a storyline in which you would have been the Undertaker's bride. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Correct. Undertaker, I call him Taker.
Mm-hmm.
Taker didn't really gel. He's very quiet. He's very to himself. I don't know him his personal life, but as far as his road life on the wrestling thing, he's really by himself. He doesn't talk to many people. I used to have nice conversations with him. So they wanted Vinny Rue, I don't know who. I think it was Vinny Russo that I spoke to most of the time. I just didn't really, Vince always had his, excuse me for saying this, but he always had on his padded suits and the stick up his ass, and I just kind of didn't really go to say, hey Vince, what's up? He's just not, I don't know, to me, it just was weird energy, so I wasn't attracted to speaking to Vince. I go to Bruce Pritchard, I go to Vinny Russo, Pat Patterson, Jerry Briscoe. I would go to those guys. In fact, Pat Patterson's a dick. He was like, I got shy when he was like, what can you do? And I was like, and I ended up only doing choke slams, because
sure.
I didn't, I didn't speak when spoken to, but whatever. Vinny Rue was probably who was talking to me about it. They wanted me to be the Undertaker's bride, and Gangrel was there. Luna had stopped by. It was just an idea that was floating around because I got along with Taker, no second agenda, just
sure.
to get along on the road. What's the big deal? It worked.
Over the years, you've gotten the chance to work with so many great people over lots of different platforms. Who have been some of your favorite people to work with?
I don't have a favorite because they're all different.
Mm-hmm.
And in being different, I hit so many different markets. I hit the bodybuilding market, and I know celebrities from that. And then I hit the wrestling market, and I know a lot of celebrities from that. And then I hit the Howard Stern market, and I know, like, the president's brother, Clinton's brother, who plays, like, great saxophone, too, or something he plays. I don't remember. I know Bon Jovi. I mean, I just know everybody.
Sure.
And so it's like walking around in my neighborhood. I walk down the street, and it's like I might as well just keep my hands up like the president or the queen with my hand, or the pope with my hand up. I just know everybody. I think that in life, a simple hello can change someone's life. So in a simple hello, it could be really deep.
Mm-hmm.
So I have deep things that go on everywhere. I get people that I meet at my appearance. At my appearance, they come to. Great story. Fred Norris, okay? Mm-hmm. I love him. I love and worship the ground he walks on. He has the Fred Norris Band. He is the guy that does the sound effects for the Howard Stern show.
Sure, yep.
You got Howard, you got Fred, and then you got Robin Quivers. Those three are in the room, and there's been a change of comedians over the years. Jackie Martling, Artie Lang, which he has a podcast now. I know Jackie Martling still does comedy. These people are awesome comedians. Fred is usually very quiet, doesn't say anything. I'm blessed by all the sound effects he does. Mm-hmm. They had one that I missed, and I didn't realize that while I was on the phone. It wasn't, and I don't normally listen to rebroadcast, but I had called in when I think it was probably a year after my husband had passed, and I wasn't okay. I didn't realize, I thought it was 4 years this April. It's only 3. I'm doing pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing pretty damn good for someone whose husband just passed and for someone who had a boyfriend, and now she doesn't, and now she has an order of protection against him. So I'm doing really good. You know, I've had crappy things happen, which I will be speaking about on Facebook, and I don't really want to go into recent events. But as far as having a favorite person, my favorite person is nobody. I don't have a favorite. Right now, who pops into my head because it's a recent appearance is Fred Norris. I don't have any pictures with the man. He has a band. I've never been to see the band. That man, about 20 years ago, I was in New Year's Rotten Eve, and it's something around that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I had on thigh-high boots, a bikini, and a top, and we were speaking, and I was walking down the street, and then the security comes for Howard Stern and Robin Quivers. It may have been a book signing. It was one of Howard's books. And I'm walking down the street, and security comes. I go, "You could go. I don't need to finish the conversation." He's like, "Are you kidding me? I'm behind the largest woman bodybuilder in the world. I get to watch everybody walk into each other. I love this." It stayed with me. How awesome is that's the kind of, I'm really down to earth. I just, my favorite person can be the girl in the coffee shop right now, Bianca.
Mm-hmm.
I really just like people. I like people, but when I'm in a rotten mood, if I'm not having fun, you're not going to have any.
Exactly. Well, Nicole, we've talked to you a lot tonight. It's been a great time,
Yes,
but as we mentioned too, you're
I know you got to go. We need part 2 to come out.
Oh, definitely. I can't wait. But as you mentioned too, you're all over social media, right?
To hook up.
Oh, okay.
What, honey?
No, as you mentioned too, you're all over social media and Twitter and whatnot. But for the fans out there who probably don't know, where can they keep up with you on Twitter and all that?
You can keep up with me on my Facebook page, which is, I don't know the exact address, but I guess you Google, or what do you do when you search Facebook, look up Nicole Bass. The little picture is me and Howard Stern sitting together. I call it the slenderized version of me. And then behind me is me giving the finger in the ring. And then on Twitter, Nicole does not have hole in it. So it's NicoleBass. I don't answer all the direct messages, so I answer some of them, but I do read them. I also am on Twitter, which is Ms., not Mrs., not Miss. This is none of anybody's business what I'm doing. Ms., M as in Mary, S as in Sam, and then Big, like me, and then my last name Bass. It's my AOL address, Ms. Big Bass, has been for the past 10 years. And I'm kind of on Instagram. I just have trouble focusing all 3.
Sure.
And I am coming out with Nicole Bass, A Journey.